Welcome to the Online Success Journey podcast, your opportunity to discover and learn from entrepreneurs like yourself. This is not your typical podcast, but a place where you can get the real story and find out how real people encounter speed bumps and detours, but journey through to find success. Now here's your host for the Online Success Journey podcast, Patience.
Hello everyone and welcome to Online Success Journey. This is episode 169. Are you ready to join the clan? Today we have Barth Getto. As an executive for 20 years at a large cooperative in the flooring industry, he has experienced how joining together independent retailers leveled their playing field with vendors and armed with them with tools for their businesses to thrive. He brings that perspective as a president for empowering eCommerce Cooperative to make the e-commerce world a better, less lonely place. Hello, Barth.
Hi, Patience. How are you?
I'm fine. How are you this morning?
I am well. I think you've had your cup of tea already, but I haven't had mine, so I may have to get one.
Yes, you should grab one. Okay. I know the clan is anxious to hear your story, so let's get started with the basics. Can you tell my clan a little bit about your background, about what you did before you started your own online business?
Sure. I came out of when I came out of college, I went to be a salesman in the flooring business for a large flooring company, and still in the United States, called Armstrong. And I was traveling around like many young men do in the United States, and women, and just going door to door to flooring locations and getting them to buy the product that my mill produced. And about 7, 8 years into that, I hooked up with a cooperative. The gentleman, one of the gentlemen that started a big flooring cooperative in the United States, and they've been in the UK before, and Australia, and in New Zealand. I'm not sure how many stores are there now, but it's called CCA Global Partners. And at one point, we're in almost all the English-speaking countries. And but I hooked up with. I started to call on. He had a store. I started to call on the founders of this big cooperative, and he hired me a few years later, and we went from, I don't know, at the time when I joined we had maybe 450 stores, and when I left we had 2,600. So we took independent flooring retailers and got them to join together in a buying networking group, merchandising, marketing. We did everything together. And so that's what a cooperative is, and it ended up being a very big entity, and I stayed there about 20 years. I've done several other things, but that was the longest stint that I spent in business.
Wow, what a journey. But why do you do what you do, Barth?
Well, what happened then is we cooperatives are all over the world, and you probably know of them, a lot of them as agricultural cooperatives. A lot in South America and Africa, where they get together, people get together, and they farm together, they sell their product together, they buy things together. That's exactly what we decided to do in the e-commerce business. So when you look at any business that's really fragmented, any industry that's fragmented and very diversified with a lot of different players, a cooperative really fits in that type of environment. So in e-commerce today, you have these solopreneurs, entrepreneurs that are out there, trying to navigate and to win. And a lot of them are playing in Amazon's sandbox. They can sell other places, but Amazon's the largest by far. So everybody wants to play there, and they make it difficult. Amazon really makes it difficult on an entrepreneur to succeed because they keep changing the rules constantly. So what we're doing at Empowery is trying to take those e-commerce sellers, bring them all together, give them all the things they need for their business, and to level the playing field with Amazon and the other marketplaces too, with Walmart, Jet, and Rakuten, and all those. But we really, we feel there's power in numbers, and so we are bringing these e-commerce sellers together in mass, in numbers, to try to, really make them better at what they do and to succeed.
Is it an easy job?
Never. Yeah, when in cooperatives, it's tough because the members own a share. It's different than a regular business. Like if someone joins a franchise buying group, they really have to do what the franchise tells them to do. And typically they're either publicly or privately held. and they could buy shares. Like if you owned a McDonald's franchise, you could buy shares of stock. But in a cooperative, you can't. The only people that own the shares of a cooperative are the actual members themselves. So if you're an e-seller doing over $50,000, $60,000 a month, we want to talk to you. And even the newer e-sellers, I'd love to talk to also. But we take that buying power. We go out and negotiate programs that they use every day. We have a training university that allows them to train themselves and their employees better. So think of our group as kind of there's a lot of masterminds in the e-commerce business where people get together and share ideas on a monthly and annual basis. Well, we're that, except so much more. So it really gives a cooperative gives power to the small entrepreneur. So that's really what our goal and our mantra is going forward.
Let's put man aside, because you've been in business for the last 20 years. How did you know you are successful?
Well, I obviously in any business person has ups and downs. So, there's been things that I've been successful at and things that I haven't been successful at. And I tell my children this, and I tell my employees this, and I've learned way more from the times that I wasn't successful than the times I was. The times I wasn't successful prepared me for the times to be successful. So, but I guess success to me isn't always, it's monetary in business. Obviously, everybody looks at the bottom line. But, when I really feel like a company that I'm running is doing well, is we're making money, but the employees are happy. They feel empowered. They feel like they have autonomy. They don't feel like I'm looking over their shoulder on every move. And that's really the environment I like to create. And when I see my last two companies were kind of like that, and it makes you feel good. When you leave, you leave it in such great shape that they really don't need you anymore. And that's a good feeling, is to leave an infrastructure behind that is very robust and sound.
Can anyone be an entrepreneur, or are some people more cut out for it than others?
Well, yes. I mean, just in every walk of life, I think some people are born with natural skills. There are baseball players and golfers and tennis players that just pick up a racket, a golf club or a bat, and just, they just have the great hand-eye coordination. But there's equally as many people who work hard and fight hard to learn how to groove the swing. And so yes. I mean, I think there are some gifted individuals in the world. I mean, you look at people like Warren Buffett and Bill Gates and Steve Jobs and some of the guys that have really done well over the years. They're intelligent and they just have something special. But you look at some, we all know other people that you would, in high school, you would have said, boy, they're never going to amount to anything. And they end up being a superstar. So it's the struggle. It's never quitting, always pushing forward.
What have you learned from business as a whole?
Really do unto others as they do unto you. Really, if you treat people well, I think it'll come back to you. And if you form, especially in your early career, for the listeners that are early on in their career, it is so important to find, a few mentors, a few people that, for whatever reason, just like you, and they get you, and they want to help you go forward. Because when you have a stable of them, you have 2 or 3 of them out there, you're always going to have opportunities that you would never otherwise have. So I think really, surrounding yourself. There was my brother is a CEO of a Berkshire Hathaway company, and so I was watching Charlie Munger, who's Warren Buffett's partner, and Bill Gates and Warren Buffett. They were speaking right after the Berkshire Hathaway meeting, and I was interested in it because I knew my brother was there. And it was amazing the way these guys were saying, these are 3 very ultra successful guys, billionaires, and all 3 of them are saying, hey, I hang with him. Bill Gates says about Warren Buffett, I hang with him because I want to learn things because he's smarter than I am. So I guess the other thing is to never think you're the smartest guy in the room, because you're not. There's always someone smarter.
Wow. You mentioned the word mentors or coaches. Do you have yourself a mentor or a coach?
Yeah, I've always, I think I mentioned early on that I had one, and it was one of those ones I didn't expect, to be honest. His name was Alan Greenberg. He passed away a few years ago, but he he, for some reason saw promise in me and picked me out of, he could have chosen a lot of people to do the job that he put me in. But that kind of got me going in the right path. And it's so funny because he and I would fight all the time. I mean, we really, we had different views of the world, but I think we both respected the other, what the other person could do when they set their mind to it. So, it was rocky at times between us, but, he kind of put me in a position to allow me to succeed. I still had to go out and work hard and, and perform. But if you can find that person that'll put you in the position, it's just so important.
What is the most valuable thing your mentor has told you?
Perseverance, really. And I mean, in the case of this gentleman that I mentioned earlier, he really was a perfectionist, and he understood. I think the thing about him that was his strongest suit was understanding member dynamics. So he understood how groups of people thought and how they reacted to different decisions and stimuli. And I think that's so important in business. Putting yourself, I'd say if I learned one thing there, it was putting yourself in the position, in the other person's position. So think like they think, figure out what makes them tick. And boy, that just makes the world a lot easier when you do it that way.
What is one thing that has contributed to your success?
I think my sense of humor. I really do. I never take myself too seriously. I never take any situation too seriously. Bad things are going to happen. They just are. There have been things in my career that were tough on me, tough on my family, but you just kind of say, that's the way it is and move on. So I'd really say the thing that, to just never take the situation of yourself too seriously, because there's always something else you can go do. There's always another job. There's always another team to run. There's always another industry to understand. So I think that's what makes it interesting. It's never boring when you put yourself out there 100%.
What grounds you?
I tell people this all the time, and I think, some of my family might disagree with you, but I seldom think I'm right. I make decisions all the time, and I make them based on the best information I have. But I grew up in a household where we were challenged constantly to see the other side. So, maybe it's not that I don't think I'm right all the time. I always think there's another side, that I don't always think I'm right, but there's another side. I think I'm always looking that there's another side to the story, that just because I feel a certain way doesn't mean the other person's wrong. There's very seldom when I see a really singular track, like I can look and say, with the Republicans and the Democrats in the United States and how polarized they are, one's on one side, one's on the other. And that just doesn't make sense to me. I'm kind of right down the middle because I see good in both sides, both arguments.
Tell us more about the Empowering Nonprofit Cooperative.
Yeah, so we like I said earlier, we're a nonprofit. We are member owned. Members own us. We started in February. We have about 18 members today. We really want to grow that rapidly. That's why I'm doing a lot of these podcasts. We really feel that we need to be over 250 members to really start to have an impact on the marketplaces. So, but we know that when these members, the people that are in right now are all very successful e-commerce sellers. Most of them are doing, upwards of $1 million a year or way more. Some of them do $40-50 million a year. But they know that knowledge is power. So by us all getting together and exposing them to like-minded peers that are successful, they know that we're going to drive this thing rapidly, and they're going to gain so much from being in it. So really think of a family. Empowery is like a family that is made up of all e-commerce entrepreneurs that want to see, a rising tide raises all ships. So when the tide goes up, all the boats float higher. And that's exactly what we are at Empowery. So when one e-seller does well and they grow their business, it grows, the entire group grows at the same time because our buying power goes up, our ability to attract new suppliers and vendors goes up, our ability to, go negotiate with the likes of Amazon goes up. So it's one of those win-win type. It's cooperatives are very democratic and egalitarian because everybody owns one share of stock, and it really the benefit to the member is just having this staff. They can use our entire staff as theirs, so it's an extension of their employees. They get to use our staff for all kinds of things. So it really is it's a great way to build a business.
And so people don't feel that they are left alone since you have a big group there. Do you have like a Facebook group where you meet once a week or once a month? Or do you have someone you call on to say, oh, this is not working?
We have all those things, and we you make a good point about not feel. I mean, really, we don't want anybody to feel alone, and a lot of a lot of entrepreneurs feel alone because today a lot of people can work out of their home and have remote employees and use freelancers. So they feel like they're out there totally solo trying to make decisions, and maybe they're not real strong on the financial side, or maybe they're real strong on financial and they're not good with marketing. And that's where we come in. You can use all of our people in the places where you're not strong, or the programs, accounting programs, shipping programs, inventory financing programs, third-party logistics, all the things that they use in their business every day. We negotiate. So the way you asked how we get, how we let them know what's going on, we have a monthly call that is, we call it the all hands call, HANDS. And that is for, all the members. And that's an hour once a month, the first Monday of every month. We have live Facebook. We do Facebook Live every day, and for the members. And we have a private site. We have a secret site that only our members are invited to, so they can speak completely freely on this site. But we go up, me and my employees, we all alternate days, and we go on every day and we say, hey, here's the latest that is happening in the e-commerce business. So we want our site to be the one-stop shop for the latest and greatest news. When anything of any consequence happens in the industry, we're right there to let them know. And then we have, and they can obviously post things on there, and we check it several times a day. They also can call us. They all obviously have our cell phone numbers and our email, so they can call us for anything they need. And then we have a conference in our bylaws. We're in a co-op that you give. There's a cash back that comes back, patients. So every time someone uses a service in a cooperative like ours, they accrue money, and that money goes into a fund. Well, once a year, we pay that money back to them, and that is a conference that'll probably be in April or May of 2019 in Seattle, I think is where we're going to do it. But all the members come together that one, for probably a 2-3 day period, and share ideas, and they get their rebate, their cash back check out, too. So they love to come there to get their check. But they're there to really help each other fill in all the blanks of their business that where they're weak. They're there. We're all there to help each other. So so we're constantly in touch with the members, as much or as little as they want to be.
You mentioned that your members, they are doing 18 to 40 millions. So do you have a specific clientele who can join your group, or anyone can join?
Well, I'd love to talk to everybody, because even the people like we talked earlier, and you said a lot of your listeners are, looking to get out of their 9-to-5 job. Well, e-commerce is the perfect place to be. And so I'd love to talk to those people too. I mean, we might not be able to make them a full-fledged member in the beginning, but we can definitely still help them. But really, if someone's doing $50,000, $60,000 a month, is probably a good lower threshold for someone to join our cooperative. That would, for the reason that they're using the services, they have shipping needs, they have third-party logistic needs, they have credit card processing and accounting needs. So that's probably $50,000-$60,000 a month, all combined. E-commerce business is probably a good starting point with us.
So how is e-commerce business by enabling cooperative to be advocate in when someone is not getting, how you get into the taxes and then sales issues and all that? You said you fight their rights.
Yeah, we actually are. There's another group called the Online Marketing Guild, and they are in really trying to fight the whole tax issue right now. I think they're going after the state of California first. And one of our founders, Steve Simonson, is very well known in the e-commerce business, and he's actually assisting the president over there. And we're trying to help them raise money. And we know that one of the things we can do as a cooperative, and I've done this in my past life. When I was back at that flooring cooperative, I actually went to Capitol Hill and lobbied my congressperson, a female congressperson at the time. And so we have gone as far as to actually go to Washington and get in front of the legislators to fight for cooperative rights. But it gives you, if you think about it, when everybody owns a share of the group, and all that you worry about is, all that we're doing every day is worrying about the best interest of the member. Like how do we make the member's business better? How do we make them happier? How do we take stress out of their life? Well, when you have that as your sole focus, it's real easy to go out and try to change legislation for them, because that's a big source of anxiety. They put the sales tax thing through where everybody would have to pay sales tax on all their online purchases. It's going to be smothering for a lot of businesses to collect all that money and to be able to track it all and then pay it. And there's so many issues revolving around that. So we're in the middle of the fight.
So where can we find you?
Yeah, I mean, we have a Facebook site that is public, at Empowery. Just type in Empowery, EMPOWERY. We also have our own site. Again, it's empowery.com, and you can learn a lot of information off of there. We just redid the whole thing, so I think it's way more powerful than it's ever been if anybody had gone there before. And obviously, they can get in touch with me personally if they're interested in joining, and it's just my first name, Barth, BARTH, at empowery.com. That's the way to get a hold of us. The other interesting thing, if they go to our site, we actually have a Dear John campaign. And Dear John is a letter that, typically a woman would have written to her boyfriend breaking up, saying, Dear John, I'm not in love with you anymore. You've let me down, and that's it. That's the final straw. I'm leaving you. Well, we have a Dear John campaign. If you go to our website /Dear John, so Empowery /Dear John, you'll see it in the nav bar up top too. But they can actually go on, and there's a template in there. The people that are upset with Amazon and all the shenanigans they're pulling lately, they can actually send a letter. Well, they'll write the letter. We'll present it to them. Us and our members will present it to Amazon when we meet with them. But I think it's a kind of a neat way to tell Amazon, hey, we love you. You have been good to us over the years, but you're not treating us the way you should anymore. So there's a good reason to go to our site and to engage in the Dear John campaign and try to make a difference. We are trying to make a difference in the e-commerce business for on our members' behalf. That's what we get up to try to do every day.
Okay, so Clan, there will be more from Barth in a moment. If you are listening on one of the many podcasting platforms rather than my website and you are encouraged by Barth's journey, go to onlinesuccessjourney.com for a bonus portion of the interview. The Online Success Journey is a wonderful membership community built for people searching for the path to success. We are one big clan, and you can be part of this community for free. Once you have joined the clan, click on part 2 of Barth's journey or over 100 other journeys that are available, and learn how you can find the right path for your own online success journey. That's a wrap, clan. Remember, success is a journey, patience and path.
This is not the end of the journey. We hope you've enjoyed listening to part 1 and want to be sure you know there is a second part to this and every journey podcast at onlinesuccessjourney.com, filled with even more success tips, uplifting stories, and even a bit of fun. There are dozens of episodes only available to the members of the Online Success Journey clan. Check out the website and click on Join the Clan for more information. Patience would like to thank you for listening to this podcast, and she has a free audio gift for you at her website. Go to onlinesuccessjourney.com for instant access to this gift. Of course, you know that listening to the journeys of others helps each of us chart our own path. So make sure you're subscribed to be notified as each new interview is posted. There are so many ways to stay connected to the Online Success Journey and to listen in. And if you're enjoying the podcast, we appreciate your help in telling others. One of the best ways to share the benefit you get is to rate and review it at Stitcher and other sites by clicking the stars or completing the ratings form, by clicking thumbs up and leaving a comment on YouTube, or liking and sharing the podcast on social media. To review the podcast within iTunes, simply open iTunes to the podcast, click on Ratings and Reviews, then write a review. On behalf of Patience, and until next time, thanks once more for listening. It is our hope that this podcast will guide you on your own online success journey.